Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced today that a high-speed rail is coming to Canada. The train will be called Alto, and Trudeau says it'll span about 1,000 kilometers from Toronto to Quebec City and reach speeds of up to 300 kilometers an hour.
It'll turbocharge our entire economy, create tens of thousands of good-paying jobs, and open new opportunities for Canadian businesses at every link of our supply chain. Just think about the 4,000 kilometers of steel rail that we're going to need to lay. That's steel, aluminum, copper, resources we have that we can use here in Canada.
Alto will be able to get you from Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours. Other stops include Peterborough, Ottawa, Laval, Trois-Rivières, and Quebec City. And for more on this new high-speed rail line, we're joined by Minister Anita Anand. She's the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. Good to see you, Minister Anand. Thank you for joining us here on CP24 this afternoon.
Great to be here with you.
Look, I got to ask you, the Liberals have been talking about a high-frequency rail line for years. So why announce this now when we're in an election year, when you could be out of government in just a few months?
Actually, we've been working on this project for some time. The procurement phase is now over. A bidder was selected through that competitive process. Cadence will be working with the Crown Corporation Alto to sign a contract for the next phase, which is the co-development phase. That is $3.9 billion that we are putting on the table to select the design and the tracks and the station placement and do the consultations with Indigenous peoples and others to ensure that we can get to the third phase, which is the building phase. So this is a process that we've been working on. Once complete, it will add $15 billion to the Canadian economy, and we are really excited about it.
Okay, you're saying that you've been working on this behind the scenes for years. Why wouldn't you have announced this incredibly ambitious project to Canadians years ago? Why are they hearing about this today, not when your party is struggling to stay in power?
Actually, as I said, the procurement process has been in place, and we are entering the next phase of this process and project now that the bidder has been selected. There were 3 bidders who were undergoing this competitive process, and we ended up choosing the bidder with the least risk and the best value for Canadian taxpayers.
Okay, Minister, I want to talk price here. The development phase, I understand, will cost almost $4 billion. The entire project could cost billions and billions of dollars. We know that there isn't an official price tag just yet. It comes as so many, as you know, are talking about balancing the books. We're dealing with Donald Trump's tariffs. How do you convince Canadians that it's a good idea to proceed with this at a time like this?
Actually, what we need to do, regardless of overtures from the White House, is to ensure that we have the Canadian economy of today and tomorrow. That means increasing productivity. That means contributing jobs to the Canadian economy, and that means contributing to our gross domestic product. This project is going to add 51,000 jobs to the Canadian economy. This project is going to enable people to get to work faster. We're going to be cutting travel times in half between Toronto and Montreal, for example, and this is going to increase productivity as a result. And as I said, the contributions to our GDP, once this project is complete, are going to be massive. This is a game changer, and so economically, regardless of what party you support, regardless of partisan interest, this is a good project for the Canadian economy and for Canadian workers and for Canadians themselves.
How do you ensure that this gets done if your government is not in power just a few months from now? Is that a concern to you?
As I said, this is a project that is good for the Canadian economy, regardless of political party. The consortium is now going to be entering negotiations with our Crown Corporation, Alto, and a contract will be signed in the coming weeks. And this project will be continuing through the co-development phase. That is as a result of the work we've done in procurement and in the signing of this contract with Cadence, and then in the construction phase, the building phase, which will then take over, and we will ultimately see high-speed rail right here in Canada, on par with all other G7 countries, I might add, who all have some form of high-speed rail already in their countries.
Okay, Minister, I heard you talking about the economic impact here, the jobs you think this will create. I heard the Prime Minister talking about steel and aluminum. So let me pick up on that, because building this will require materials like steel and aluminum. As you know, it comes as Donald Trump has hit us with those devastating tariffs. Have you thought about how you would work around that? Would we need America for this?
Well, let's be clear that steel and aluminum are raw materials and materials that we have right here in our own country. So we will be looking to source Canadian materials, and we will be ensuring that we are diversifying our supply chains where necessary. The consortium that we have chosen, Cadence, has the experience and expertise in building these large, complex rail projects. And so sourcing raw materials, undertaking the design, ensuring the consultations occur, as well as the permissions, is part and parcel of what we'll be doing right here at home, again, regardless of going through Donald Trump or the White House.
Okay, I'm just curious, have you talked to leadership contenders like Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland? Because they haven't said whether or not they would proceed with this major undertaking.
As I said, this was a project that the Government of Canada has been undertaking. The procurement process is now finalized with the successful bidder being chosen and announced. We're moving to co-development phase right now, and the contract negotiations with Cadence are starting right away. This is a project that the Government of Canada has been committed to and will continue to be committed to for the benefit of all Canadians and the Canadian economy writ large.
Okay, Minister, my final question to you is about that horrific plane crash at Pearson Airport just a few days ago. Remarkably, no fatalities there, but we know an investigation is underway. So many questions about what happened. The TSB is involved along with our American counterparts. Is there anything else you can tell us about the investigation and what's happening behind the scenes?
First of all, I would like to thank all first responders, the crew, and all individuals at Pearson Airport and beyond for their marvelous and incredible work through a very tense and difficult situation. The status right now is that the black box has been recovered and that the aircraft will be moved to a hangar so that the further investigation can continue. The involvement of myself is actually none at all. This is a process that is being undertaken by experts and officials, and we're thankful to our American counterparts for lending their support as well to the investigation with our officials here in Canada. And when there are answers, they will be announced by the officials undertaking this investigation.
Okay. Minister Anita Anand, the Minister of Transport and Internal Trade, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Take good care.